Well, good morning, graduates and faculty, family, friends, Quakers, one and all. Mr. Chairman, Madam President, Provost Daniels, thank you for that kind introduction. Amy, I have never been compared to Ben Franklin before, but heck, if the wig fits, wear it. In gratitude, I will try to keep these remarks brief. As Big Ben himself wrote, "He that speaks much is much mistaken." And I will try to make that the last Franklin quote that I use for the day. Let me start by saying how honored I am to be here today and to receive this honorary doctorate degree. My mother always wanted me to become a doctor. And my father, if he were alive today, would never have believed that I got any degrees. When I was offered this degree, I asked President Gutmann if I needed to attend some classes to sort of get the hang of the place, and she told me that she knew I was very busy, not to worry, but I explained I'd be happy to, particularly if she could get me into the course taught by that actor from Harold and Kumar. She may be president, but it turned out she couldn't get me in. Still, this really is a dream come true. Who would have thought I'd be standing here in legendary Franklin Field, where the Eagles used to play, where the movie Invincible was filmed, where Howard Cosell famously got sick during a broadcast on Monday Night Football, and where the rap star Ludacris recently uttered the immortal words, "It's all pina coladas from here to the Bahamas." I am a graduate of Johns Hopkins, a little school not that far to the south from here, but I really do feel at home at Penn. First of all, just take a look at the school's 4 big undergraduate schools. It looks like a tour of my life. I went to a liberal arts college, much like Penn's. I majored in engineering, another one of your great schools. I've spent decades in the business world, think Wharton. And I've had a lifelong commitment to public health, which is what your nursing school really is all about. So I think the degree is a perfect fit. And another thing, at work in New York, I am surrounded by Penn alums. 2 of my deputy mayors, 2 press secretaries, my legal counsel, and my speechwriter's brother, who is graduating here today. Now, as you would expect, I'm completely prepared for this occasion, ready to impart some indispensable words of wisdom, or dispensable ones, depending on your ability to focus after a night of carousing before graduation. But I do want to recognize, seriously, another special group, and that's the parents and relatives who are sitting out here this morning, beaming proudly. And they're probably not even thinking about what it costs to get you to here today, or what happens if you don't get a job and have to move back home. Anyways, it's been a great year at Penn, and I know there's a lot to celebrate. Perhaps the biggest event that we saw on New York television was the event just last month when the Democratic presidential juggernaut rolled onto campus. Political rallies, policy discussions on Facebook, Stephen Colbert, even a 1-2-3 punch from Hillary, Bill, and Chelsea at the Palestra. Last month, the University of Pennsylvania, in a political sense, really was the place to be. And I think that's a tremendous tribute to your enthusiasm and activism. Now, for many of you, this November will be your first time voting in a presidential election, as Amy mentioned. You've come an age when no one can say, "My vote doesn't matter," because the election of 2000 proved that every vote counts. Or at least every vote that didn't have a hanging chad, but that's another story. You're lucky you're getting to participate in what may go down as one of the most important elections in American history. So important that there was a period where some people were encouraging me to get into the race. I have to admit, all the buzz was very exciting and flattering. If you ever get the chance, do it. The covers of Time and Newsweek, people from Al Gore to Bono visiting City Hall. Here's the most impressive part. I even got a small cameo role in the upcoming Sex and the City film. Unfortunately, turns out my scene ended up on the cutting room floor. Turns out they wanted more sex and less city. But in the end, I decided to stay with my current job, one that has 591 days left before I'm term limited out, but who's counting? And instead try to influence the country that my two daughters will inherit by speaking out as a concerned citizen rather than a candidate. Now, seriously, I have been a Democrat, a Republican, and now I am an independent. So I really do think that I can speak across the political spectrum. But I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. I don't even know yet who I am going to vote for. But I do want to share with you what I've heard from so many people as I traveled around the country. Over and over, I heard them speak of their desire for a president who will lead from the front, not follow what the pollsters say is politically astute at the moment, wherever they happen to be giving a speech. People want someone who can break the death grip that partisanship has on Washington, who can stand up on the pandering of trade and reject the reckless diplomacy which together are destroying our relationships around the world. One who can mobilize both parties to confront the big, long-term problems that they have so carefully avoided: health care, immigration, Social Security, poverty, infrastructure, budget deficits, public education, you name it. Now, there are some signs that this year's candidates might do just that, but they're not going to do it without us pushing them. And it's going to take all of us together, standing up and demanding more from Congress and from those who would lead our nation, demanding real change, not words, but deeds, and demanding real results, not next year or after the next election, but now. It is not totally an overstatement to say our future is in your hands after you graduate. And rather than tell you how to lead your lives down the road, something that you certainly don't need to hear from me after your excellent education at Penn, let me talk a little bit about what I think you should demand from those that want your vote. The candidates often talk about change and making a difference, but what does it really mean? Well, Ben Franklin once compiled a list of 13 virtues to live by, but let me take a few minutes to share my 4 virtues to lead by. They've served me well in business, in government, and in life. And I think that if we the people, a phrase proclaimed just minutes away from here by horseback, challenge the presidential candidates to embrace these 4, we can begin to change the culture of Washington and the course of American history. So here we go. It all begins with the virtue of independence. And that's a word you're probably used to hearing in this town, but it seems to lose its meaning as you travel south on I-95. When you go to Washington now, you can feel a sense of fear in the air, a fear to do anything or even say anything that might offend the special interest. This is paralyzing our federal government and causing our leaders to shy away from common sense solutions. For example, today, this day, 34 Americans will be murdered by guns, and again tomorrow and the day after. America experiences a Virginia Tech massacre every single day, and the solutions to it are fairly obvious. Since most murderers purchase and possess guns illegally, we need to crack down on the black market for illegal guns. Now, it's pretty basic stuff. It's nothing to do with the Second Amendment. But try finding a majority in Congress who is willing to stand up and be counted, who's willing to take on the NRA. Democrats, Republicans, independents, they're all terrified, and people die as a result. Children, parents, police officers. And you've lived through it here in Philadelphia. Every day, innocent people lose their lives because Congress doesn't have the spine to stand up to the special interest. A little more independence would go a long ways towards reducing crime and solving many of our most serious problems. So starting here in Philadelphia, let's help put independence and independent leaders back on the map.